Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Town Council meeting of June 2021. And as customary, we normally invite members of the public should they wish to ask questions. I'm not aware that any members of the public have asked to ask questions, unless anyone knows differently. Councillor Taylor, please.
Yeah, just to let you know, Mr. Chairman, that I did want to sit in the public arena initially to ask a question as a member of the public, but the clerk has advised me that I'll be able to do that on your bit later on.
As it's you, Councillor Taylor, you may do so, but I couldn't guarantee you an answer. Do you wish to do that now then?
I'll wait to your bit later.
The Mayor's bit is a report, so you're more than welcome to take the floor now, and then we can get on with the business of the meeting.
I'll do it at the
Okay.
We'll play it once we start the meeting. We're going to play according to the rules of the meeting. So if it's relevant to an agenda item, yes. If it's not, no. So your decision. Okay, I'm going to go on.
What was that last phrase, sorry?
Sorry?
What was your last phrase there, Mr. Chairman?
Well, you've got to, if you ask a question at any time, it's got to be relevant to the agenda item that we're discussing at the time.
Would you like me to speak as a member of the public?
It's entirely up to you. If you wish to do so, I've given you the opportunity.
I've had a few people that I meet with have asked me to present this, and I said I would. This is for all councillors. Do you know that government statistics state that the average age of death in this country due to COVID-19 is 82? The average age of death due to all other ailments in the country is 81. Government statistics also state that if you catch COVID-19, you have a 99.7% chance of survival. Presently, they are pushing a jab that has not been cleared, is still experimental, and according to the government's yellow card statistics, is killing and harming people at an alarming rate. The question is, does this council agree with the district councillors, the county councillors, the government, and also the official opposition that the jab should be pushed on their residents regardless of data to the contrary? That was the question I said I would present as a member of the public tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much for the question. I'm going to take the view, this is a personal view, it doesn't reflect the views of other councillors. If other councillors wish to say something, they may do so. My view is that this council is not responsible for health issues, that's someone else out beyond our scope, and that therefore I personally don't have a view to express as a councillor or in a council meeting on that question. Does anyone else wish to speak? Brenda, please.
I agree with the Mayor what you said. It is nothing to do with the parish or town council. Whatever response we done was to help people during a pandemic. You know, so that we release the member staff to pick up prescriptions and things like that. Everything else has nothing to do with the parish or town council. So there's not a lot we can actually do as a council.
Thank you. Unless there are any other comments, we'll pass on. Councillor Taylor.
It's not a debate.
I just want to say, Councillor, on my left, we are here to represent the public. Now, I've actually sent every councillor some evidence that has been presented through the police, which is bringing the government into disrepute, and charges are being brought against the government at the minute regarding that information that has been presented through the police. Now, I have sent that information to every councillor. Every councillor should do due diligence, look at that, and then decide what we should be doing and have any debate at the town level. Whether that be pushing our district councillors, whether that be pushing our North County councillors, or whether that be getting in touch with our MP. But I ask you please to have a look at the information that I've sent you and at least have an opinion. Because anything coming down the track where charges are brought to anybody in government, and it does come down through the political system, every one of us in here will be culpable for ignoring that information. Thank you for interrupting me. I'll say no more.
Thank you. It's up to councillors to take a personal view if they wish. The formal view of the chair of this meeting has already been stated. I suggest we carry on. Unless there are any other questions from anyone else representing a member of the public, and I see no other hands, I'm going to move on to the first item on the agenda, which is item 124. Are there please any declarations of any disclosable pecuniary interests? And if not, 125, are there any apologies for absence, please?
I have apologies from councillors Burnett, Jeremy, and that's it.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Robinson as well.
Councillor
Robinson gave his...
Robinson, did he? Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Councillor Robinson.
That was Chris Crimmon, the committee secretary, and we have 3 apologies from councillors Burnett, Jeremy and Robinson. Thank you for that. And on to 126, which is the standing orders, which we're asked to approve. If you have a paper copy, it may be attached as it claims, but other than that, I'm going to pass over to the town clerk.
Okay, to make a large document small, what happened was obviously the legislation reference virtual meetings ceased, and those are the references that have been removed from standing orders as they are no longer relevant, and therefore what is before you is the standing orders that were extant prior to that legislation coming in, and we have reverted to those previous standing orders.
There's 25 pages up there, ladies and gentlemen.
In case you're having trouble sleeping.
Yeah.
Would anyone wish to comment? Brenda, please.
I propose we accept them, Mr. Mayor.
That's
Minus the new.
Councillor Brenda Canham. Councillor James, please.
I'll second that proposal,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Mayor.
Seconded. Any comments required from anyone? In which case, I suggest you show a hand according to whether you support the proposal. Thank you very much indeed. The motion is carried. Therefore, we accept the standing orders as presented by the town clerk. Thank you, Tina, for doing that. And on to item 127, and we have a selection of minutes for you to confirm the accuracy thereof. In my case, it means turning over lots of pages. If you've got it on the screen, hopefully you don't have to
It's
turn
on the
over
screen at the moment.
25 pages.
25th of May.
We've just gone past. Sorry, I've just done exactly the same myself. There you go.
Thank you very
I
much.
think that's the last page of standing orders. I
So-
seem to recognise it.
So we're now on
Yeah.
the first of the 3 meetings is the meeting of the full council held on the 25th of May. I'm going to ask you whether there are any, in your view, any corrections required. Otherwise, these will be signed as an accurate version of what took place. We're going through them quickly on the screen. Please stop me if there's anything you want to say. Without comments, I'm going to suggest, colleagues, that that's your acceptance, that you're happy with these minutes. Is that okay? Great. Thank you very much. He says, rushing on to the second set of minutes, which are those of the special meeting of the 1st of June. Everyone happy with those, please? I think there's some dissension in the ranks. I think it's probably been quelled, has it? Thank you. Okay, I'm going to take that as your acceptance of those minutes as an accurate record, and move on to the third one, which is special meeting of the 23rd of June. Anyone not happy with those minutes? Right, thank you very much indeed, everybody. I think we can safely proceed to item 128. This is to accept or otherwise the minutes received from committees, starting with personnel. And I think this is a chance for Councillor Brayton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to present the minutes of the personnel meeting on Tuesday, 1st of June. There are no recommendations and there are 2 changes.
Thank you. Everyone happy with that?
Agreed.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. The minutes have been moved. And on to the meeting of the Amenities Committee. The chairman is Councillor Jeremy, who is not here. I think that's therefore up to Councillor Hodgkinson, please.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to present the minutes of the meeting of the Amenities Committee from the 2nd of June. There are 3 resolved items on page 2 and recommendation, which I believe is on page 4. And the recommendation is that the Town Council adopt the amended open spaces policy, which is available in Appendix C. A summary of the changes within the body of the minutes.
Thank you for that. Colleagues, you're asked to accept that recommendation. Is there anyone who wishes to speak against it? Excuse me. If not, I guess that's acceptance. If you'd like to move the... Accepted, everybody? Okay, thank you very much indeed. On to the Planning Committee of the 8th of June. As I chaired the meeting, can I invite you to give some views on that, if appropriate? I'm again going to be turning over pages because I've got all the appendices. Any comments on planning, please? If not, I'm taking that as sufficient that you are happy with those minutes. Okay, thank you very much for that. We move on to venues, and I think this hopefully is Councillor Wright.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to present the minutes of the Venues and Communications Committee meeting on 9th of June 2021. There were no recommendations and 3 resolved matters, pages 1, pages 2, and then an appendix attached to that regarding the marketing report. I move minutes.
Thank you very much for moving the minutes. Again, any concern about that? Otherwise, we'll accept that. Okay, thanks, colleagues. Pushing on to allotments. Councillor Hollis, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to present the minutes of the allotments meeting held on the 17th of June. There's no recommendations, there's 2 pages, and then there's a resolve on 8620 on page 2.
Thank you. Once again, is anyone not happy to accept those minutes? I think that silence means assent, so thank you very much for that. And on to the Cemetery Committee. Councillor Cannon, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am pleased to present the committee meeting which was held on the 17th of the 6th for cemeteries. There are no recommendations, and it was a very short meeting.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that. I think that's the further silence is acceptance of the moving of the minutes, so that's done. Thank you very much indeed. And finally, the Finance Committee. Councillor James, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I beg leave to present the unconfirmed minutes of the Finance meeting held here on the 22nd of June. There are 3 recommendations to be dealt with this evening. 2 recommendations that do feature on this, on agenda items 112 and 113, were actually dealt with at the special meeting held on the 23rd of June. So I'll take you through. We go to page 1, and then the first recommendation on there is item 106, that Thetford Town Council approve the terms of reference, which you've all lovingly read at Appendix A.
Not provoking any comments, so thank you for that one.
Thank you. And then I'll take the next two on block, if I may, please. At agenda items 109 and 110, the recommendations that Thetford Town Council approve the making of the payments A to E, which you've all again lovingly read at Appendix B, and the recommendation that Thetford Town Council adopt the income and expenditure reports attached in Appendix C for the 2 months to the end of 31st of May 2021.
Thank you for that very positive murmur. So we can then go on to accept the.
If we could move the minutes, because I'm not going to go through another 11 pages of information that you've already all read.
I think that's very kind of you.
So, move the minutes.
We're all looking very happy again. Thank you very much indeed for that. So that was the committee reports item. We go on to 1 to 8, Mayor's remarks and reports. You have got that on paper should you wish to peruse it. I just want to remark that as far as I'm concerned, and I believe the Mayor has too, it's been a lovely 5 or 6 weeks. We've thoroughly enjoyed it, particularly mentioned the open gardens. It's probably my favourite day in Thetford, and so to have 2 bites at that during June was lovely. And I can say that for the first time I have eaten an Aussie-style barbecue at an undertaker's, and I think that shows the variety of activity available in Thetford. Okay, on to item 130, and this is, I'm sorry, I'm going to put the Deputy Mayor on the spot a bit, and I apologise for not having spoken earlier. This is a new Greater Thetford Partnership representative. The vacancy occurs because Jane James has taken up a similar responsibility with Norfolk County Council. I wonder if I can ask you, Jane, just to say briefly what you think the role requires so that we can know what we're appointing someone to, therefore we should do it.
Indeed. It's attendance at the board meetings, which is where the Greater Thetford Partnership has no decision-making powers. Those powers remain within the arenas of town councils, the parish councils, the district councils and the county councils. But it is an opportunity to bring all 3 tiers of government together to work on solutions to improve the lives of our residents in the Greater Thetford area, which is why it's so important that there are the representatives in terms of Kilverston and Brettenham and Croxton. Recent information that we've dealt with has been working with Highways England, Highways East, Greater Anglia, and we're very lucky in the resource that we currently have at the moment in the form of Jack Weaver, Greater Thetford Partnership Manager, who this council assists with the funding of for the 2 years of the initial post. And it's about getting what we can for Thetford and the area. There are board meetings held 3 to 4 times a year, typically 4, and that's where we challenge and support Jack. You know, it's been fantastic, and in a way, it sounds rather ironic, the recent pandemic and the work from home directive has enabled him access to people in Ipswich and London that normally he would have to travel to, or we would have to get them to travel here. And the utilisation of the virtual world has meant he can have those face-to-face conversations. So things like Ely Junction, whilst it doesn't impact us directly here because it's in Ely, it does impact the connectivity that our residents have, whether it's getting to their jobs, getting into London to go to the theatre once we can again, and that kind of thing. So that facility, you know, to connect to the wider world. I quite enjoy it. It's a time to, as I said, challenge and say, you know, why are we doing this? What's in it for Thetford? You know, and how can we do better for Thetford? So I really hope that this council will appoint a Thetford champion, because you know, Thetford deserves it.
Thank you very much indeed. I'll just ask, forgive me a moment, Brenda, I'll just ask if you'd like to just add in a comment, please, Tina.
Yes, so we already have 2 councillors who are down as reserves for meetings. So should either of those councillors be selected as the permanent member of the board, we will then ask out to see if anybody else would like to be a reserve. And just a reminder to councillors that Jack Weaver is actually working out of our offices tomorrow. I've given him the Guildhall Council Chamber, so you can all turn up en masse if you want. No, not en masse, but he has room to have meetings with you throughout the day, should you wish to come in. And I would advise that you take the opportunity while we have him within our walls.
I've got Councillor Canham and then Councillor Crawford, please. Brenda.
Yeah, I'd actually like to nominate Councillor Brain, because I think obviously he had to come off because he's changed roles with Northern County Council, and I think he was an asset to it. I'd like to nominate him. If he wants it, I don't know if he wants it.
Thank you very much.
Do you want it?
Does that proposal have a seconder? There is a seconder. I've got Councillor Crawford, and then are you wishing to speak?
I think I would send it, but I did have a question. As I won't be able to attend the chief judgment tomorrow, is there any other opportunity in the future?
Well, I'm trying to work with Jack to get times that he can work here, because in discussions that we've had, you know, we have said that it would be nicer for him to be able to talk to all of you, and not necessarily sort of like monthly or whatever, but we want an opportunity for him to talk about ideas and you talk to him about ideas as well. Just, you know, so there's a relationship.
Thank you very much. Councillor Harvey, please.
Yeah, I'd like to propose Councillor Wright.
Councillor Wright is also proposed. Is there a seconder for Councillor Wright, please? Yes, there is. Thank you very much. Brenda, did you want to add another comment?
No, I was just going to say, I think that email said that he was going to be there for a whole week, so he'd be available in there.
No, just for the day.
Did he? I thought it was the week. Is it just the day? Oh, okay,
Yeah, no, I think David would be after me if I wasn't sort of letting somebody have it for that long.
Right, colleagues, we have 2 candidates who have been properly proposed and seconded. Unless there's a third, I suggest we go to a vote. So there isn't apparently a third. I'll take them in the order they came. So you're invited first to vote for Councillor Braham and then to vote for Councillor Wright, and may the best man win. Those who wish to vote for Councillor Braham, please.
Keep hands up just for a moment, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And those who wish to vote for Councillor Wright, please.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Thank you very much indeed. I declare Councillor Braham to be our new representative. Is Councillor Braham present one of the substitutes?
No.
No, so we don't require to take up the suggestion you made. Okay, thank you very much for that. That's item 130 concluded. Congratulations to Councillor Braham. And we go on to Town Council representatives on other bodies. I'll go around the room and call you, and if you haven't anything, please say. Otherwise, please report in a normal way. So we'll start with Barbara and point out you probably haven't had time yet to become a representative, but this will no doubt be thrust upon you at some stage. David, please.
Nothing from me.
Dennis. Jenny. Mark. Oh, she's going well. Chris. Brenda.
Yes, obviously the Charles Bowl Museum, as you all know, is going to be open on the same morning as the Mayor's civic service. So could I ask you to turn up for the civic service and then run down and have a look at the museum, because they'd be greatly appreciated if you could do that. The other one, obviously, is I was nominated to NALC. I've been to the first board meeting, but a lot of them couldn't attend because it was brought in at the last moment. So my first one is on the 15th of July. Actually, from the board meetings, we don't actually discuss what happens in the board meetings, but they do discuss what's happening nationally, and basically that's sent to Tina and she tells you all about it anyway, so you can see the work that now does in the background. Okay.
Thank you. Do you wish to ask Councillor Canham a question?
I wish to clarify that statement just made. So, our representative on the board meeting cannot give reports back to the council about board meetings.
I can give reports back, but you've already received them from Tina.
So you won't be making.
Now, what I'm saying is you don't, because now a cooperative, so it's a board of trustees, you can't repeat verbatim what happened, but what they do is they send out a report, and Tina, unlike some of the clerks, are not actually distributing that. Tina distributes everything from now you receive.
So we will get the redacted report from now.
When you get the report, yeah, when you get the report, you're quite willing to say to me, well, what was going on there, and I can fill you in. I have no problem with that.
I'm quite kind in allowing what turns into a discussion, but sometimes it's inappropriate, so beware. Councillor Brown, please. And Councillor Wright, please.
You are now.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If you would indulge me, I'm not an official representative, but I was passed this inquiry from a fellow councillor regarding the Cycling Development Officer from Norwich, Richard Andrews, contacted us. Obviously, you know my cycling champion hat. I did go back to him explaining the holes in our cycling infrastructure and copy Jack Weaver in, and hopefully Jack will be able to take those comments forward, because we have made representation to GTD in relation to cycling and walking. Richard Andrews has come back to say that he's very much into the community aspect promoting cycling, so I put him in contact with the men's shed at Keystone, who have a bike shed facility, and also the Susquehanna's representative, Robert Woodgate, to try and promote some kind of cycling in there. I did suggest that we, the Town Council, could probably offer a pop-up facility on the marketplace with a gazebo to do just a workshop or something like that, to get that out there for public facing. So watch this space. I'm not quite sure where it'll go. I suspect it'll be a few pop-up things and then it'll fade away, but we've got to show some positivity and show the lead in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is this a question for Councillor? It is indeed. Carry on then, please, Jenny.
So please gentlemen got in touch with you because you did phone me, and I said that I can't even mind a bike. The best person to speak to is Councillor Wright. I'm glad you contacted me. Well done. You get directed to the town for you.
Thank you.
Could I just make a suggestion?
Yes, please.
The dates have now been arranged for the boat hire throughout the summer holidays, so potentially if they spoke to Bush Adventures, they'd be able to have a gazebo up at the same time, and that would perhaps encourage families to do stuff while the rest of them are on the water.
Could I ask a question of you also, please, Councillor Wright? Were you once upon a time elected to chair the trust that looks after Lady Gentle Meadow?
I was. What we did 2 or 3 years ago was conscious that we are all trustees of the Lady Gentle charity. It exists as a charity, and I was very conscious of an opportunity for funding there. So I got a bank account opened, I applied for some money, so we've got £500 seed money there to do things, which would allow us to apply for water money and things like that. And at the one meeting where we agreed to open the bank account, I was made chair of that meeting, but we've not met subsequent.
Do you think there's a possibility that we could, how can I put it delicately? No, I can't put it delicately, I'm not delicate. As a shortcut, do you think it would be appropriate and even legal, and have to consult Tina perhaps as well, to have an item on an agenda of this council to look again at the use of Lady Gentle Meadow? Is there another way forward?
If I may, Mr. Mayor, the Lady Gentle Meadow resides, I think, in the Lady Gentle charity. Yeah. And I think it would be appropriate to call a meeting of that charity to discuss any future use or funding of that. So I'm quite happy to chair initial meetings or get things going in that respect.
Perhaps we consider having a meeting before or after another council
I
meeting.
think that'd be a very good idea.
Thank you very much indeed. I'm grateful.
Perfectly explained by Councillor Wright.
Pardon?
Perfectly explained by Councillor Wright.
Well, it's a good team, and let's encourage it further by asking the Deputy Mayor whether she's got anything to contribute, please.
Apologies, yes. Two items. Obviously, I'm one of your representatives on the Safe Theft Action Group. I attended the meeting held on the 9th of June virtually, and apologies for anybody that tried to join in that. It was a challenge, shall we say. It was reported that since the 30th of April 2021, 2 community protection warnings have been issued, with 4 community protection notice breaches, which will result in the issue of a caution or summons to court. There are currently 2 people on what's called CPNs, the notices, and a further 20 now have live CPWs, the warnings. Regular patrols of Spring Walk continue when the police are able to do so, and they have engaged with local residents about the issues they are facing. As we head out of lockdown, the police will be heavily concentrating on visible community policing, offering reassurance to the public and reconnection with our communities. There is a new county-wide policing initiative which you may have seen on their social media. Unfortunately, it's hashtag Park, Walk, Talk. And we'll be looking at carrying out street surgeries again, which will be publicised in advance on social media platforms. So I thoroughly recommend following them on those. An update for the 30 for Thetford project was provided at that meeting, with Norfolk County Council officers advising that implementation should be soon. There will be press releases and communications a couple of weeks before the signs are installed. The next open meeting is scheduled for the 8th of July, again via Teams, hosted by the Constabulary, and the next closed meeting will be held on the 14th of July. On other news on the Thetford Music Project, sadly, once more, the much anticipated 20th anniversary showcase concert that was scheduled for the 11th of July has had to be postponed because of the social distancing measures that are currently in place. The new date for your diaries is Sunday the 12th of December, and there are 2 performances to choose from at 2 and 5 p.m. Tickets are available from Leaping Hare. I'm sorry, I'm going to do a full-on plug. I'm going to. £3 per adult, with children under 15 for free. Please do support this wonderful asset that the town has and join the celebrations of our young people's accomplishments. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, and lovely to have an advert so cunningly inserted. Just a final word, please, from me about the Charles Burrell Centre. The big lunch was a great success, attended by the great and good of Norfolk, which was lovely. I mentioned also the fact that they took part in the Open Gardens for the simple reason that the Open Gardens activities take place on a Sunday, and on last Sunday, as far as I could see, every single member of staff at the Charles Burrell Centre had turned out on a Sunday. I think that's a very, very great success and speaks volumes about the quality of the staff and the willingness of the staff. So I think that it's worthy of a note. And on to item 132, please, which is Town Council representatives on other bodies. No, it isn't. Excuse me. I can't remember 123s from 132s and so on. Reports from county and district councillors to receive and note any reports. I think, Jane, as you're the only county councillor here, you should have a chance to start us off this time, please.
Thank you. So on the county front, I went walkabout with Jack Griffiths, who's the new highways engineer for much of Breckland on Wednesday the 9th of June. It was a great opportunity for me to learn an awful lot about the highway engineer's role and how we can all work together to resolve any issues we may have. Jack is currently investigating the drain issues on the Minstergate Bend and at the T-junction between Bridge Street, White Hart Street and King Street, the one that overflows constantly. I have requested further information regarding the issues regarding the positioning of the SAM2 devices that have been mentioned on a number of occasions. I have been advised that almost all passive posts, and I understand those to be ones that are not streetlights or powered columns, should be sufficient to take the load of the sign. If I can have a listing of the sites that appear to be problematic in terms of loading, I can then raise this with Jack and then we can see what we can get done. If I may, can I do my Brecon report as well, and then you
Please
won't have
do.
to hear me anymore. Just delighted to say the chess and table tennis tables have now been installed on Button Island, and thank you, Councillor Brain, for your support and help on that. It's very much a team Thetford effort on that one. And the lighting installation on Button Island is expected around the end of August, hopefully start September kind of time, workmen allowing. The funding for these two great projects to reclaim our spaces and reduce antisocial behaviour have been funded through the Market Town Initiative by Brecon Council. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I joined the queue to play chess on Saturday afternoon, and it's lovely to have people queuing up to do something like that. And on to Roy, please.
Yeah, it really is nice to see all the people down there. It really takes off. It's something nice to have for the town, and hope people get behind it. As far as my report from district is concerned, it's really more of a personal information thing than a report. I was honoured to be made chairman, so I will be working on the same civic roles as you are, Mr. Mayor, and looking forward to seeing you out and about. I must say it was very good to go to the big lunch at the Giles Borough. It was very good that the High Sheriff turned out, and I spoke to him later in the day, and he was extremely impressed with what was happening up there. So that was nice. I'm having a slight change in the chairman's role within Brecon this year. Normally it's very much the civic occasions that you go to, and as with mayors and chairs, you normally try and work out a charity that you can raise money for and vote on for. I've decided this year, because of the pandemic and how bad it's been for everybody, that what I'd like to try and do is to promote Brecon in the way that, as mayor, you will be promoting Thetford. It's a slightly bigger job, obviously, because of the area, but it really is something I'm calling the Chairman's Challenge. And I've been already opened tea shops and cake shops across the county, which is a little bit disconcerting for the baseline, but I'm hoping to do more. And to try and do things for the businesses within Brecon, especially Thetford. So please, anything that you know of as councillors that is happening in the town that needs to be promoted, just drop me a line. Either email chairman that or just come straight to me so that I can get it on the social media to promote it. As I said, I did the Giles Borough, which was great, and we got pictures out on that. I've done a wonderful event. A lovely lady called Chris, who suffered with cancer while she was ill, and she is recovering and everything is going great for her, which is absolutely brilliant. But to say thank you to hospital staff and our staff here within the her doctor's surgery, she's actually painted portraits of 4 of them with their masks on. I said to her, can't you do noses and mouths? And she said, Dr. Clark, I've only been doing it for 6 months, which is really hard to believe. It's something that she took up with when she was ill, and she has become really proficient at it. And the lovely part about the doing it with the masks is it will always be a reminder to those people of how much they did for us, and they will have that there, and the fact that they've been out and got the jabs into arms, they really have worked absolutely tirelessly trying to support this community
and make them safe, which is absolutely brilliant. So I was very pleased to do that, and we got some pictures in the paper. But anything that is happening within the town, we've got a chance this year of having double chains, because I know the mayor will be getting asked as well, so we can actually, get out there, promote Thetford. I can promote Thetford, but really want to promote it within Thetford as well. So all of you councillors, anything that you hear of that you think, hey, if they got a little bit more support, they might get a little bit more money. Let me know, and some of the things I will be making donations to. I'm more concerned with mental health, loneliness, and that type of thing. So there are lots of things coming up, but remember that I'm part of this council, so please.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Chairman of Brecon, and I totally agree that there's a great opportunity for us to work together, and perhaps also an opportunity to stressing a point you've made about the importance of doing what we can to encourage local businesses. Councillor Taylor, do you wish to ask Roy a question? Please do.
Councillor Brayden, during the speech, stated that the jobs are safe. I would request his evidence to prove that, A, and B, what amount of risk is he willing to take? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think you're entitled to either answer the question or refer it to a different audience.
Is this being taken?
I hope so. As far as I know, I follow the scientists across the world who are saying the best way to make our people safe is to have the jab. If you haven't got the bottle to have a needle in your arm, that's your prerogative, and you can say what you like. But please, do not tell our people that it's dangerous when that has not been proved, and we are here to support our residents and keep them safe. So I don't wish to hear any more of the rubbish that you listen to on the internet. Thank you.
I'm not going to allow it to become a general discussion. You've both had your say. I'm going to move on to Councillor Harvey, please, for your report, if you have one. Okay, thank you very much indeed. In which case, colleagues, we move on to item 133, Shambles 1 and 3. We've moved on, Councillor Taylor. Is it about item 133? Well, in that case, I'll read it out and then I'll allow the town clerk to lead, and then you'll have an opportunity to...
I'm getting mixed up here. Are we still on district?
No, we're not. I've moved on from that item.
You haven't given us a chance to ask any questions.
You have both had one speech. That's how much I've allowed. Okay, we're on 133 now, Shambles 1 and 3. Councillor Taylor, I'm not accepting any further discussion of item 132.
I've got to be a point of order unless it's being changed from the new plan at all.
I am entitled to run this meeting in such a way that we concentrate on issues that I regard as A, on the agenda, and B, relevant to Thetford. That's what I'm doing. And therefore, the point of order which you're about to make is liable to fail. You may try and make a point of order should you so wish.
Thank you very much. Basically, the question I've just asked was a question that Councillor Brayden said on his speech, which you then not allowed to proceed with another question. Quite happy with that. But what you haven't done is allow us to ask any questions back to the district council.
That's not the business of this council. What you've had is a report from Councillor Brame, and you asked a question about it, which Councillor Brame answered. We then moved on to the next item. Excuse me.
I think you moved too quick. My understanding is that was the county. I asked them a question at the county level.
He's not a county councillor.
Not acceptable. Not acceptable.
Could I,
Councillor Braham is not a county councillor, and even if he were, we've dealt with the item that you asked about. Please allow the meeting to please sit down and allow the meeting to continue, Councillor Taylor.
could I,
Councillor Taylor, will you please sit down and allow the meeting to continue? Please sit down.
right, two things. First of all, the actual item is to receive and note any reports. So there's no decisions and no questions necessary unless the chair allows them. Secondly, on a point of order, during a debate of a motion, a councillor may interrupt only on a point of order or a personal explanation, and the councillor who was interrupted shall stop speaking. A councillor raising a point of order shall identify the standing order which he considers to have been breached or specify the other irregularities in the proceedings of the meetings he is concerned by. So the question is, which standing order is it?
That one you're reading reference me being able to ask a question of the district councillors in this meeting. If the district councillors are given all information, surely you've got to be able to ask them a question.
No, it's not an
You are
agenda
not.
item.
You are not allowed to ask the district councillor a question. What you're allowed to do is ask a question about the statement made by the district council. You are not at liberty to introduce a new subject into the council's discussion. That was what I turned you away for previously. I repeat, you cannot introduce new material into discussion. Councillor Braham made a statement in answer to your question, end of issue.
I think I'm going to say, Mr. Chairman, is I've been on this council now for almost 6 years, and whenever the county and the district councillors have given us a report, every councillor has had a chance to ask the county or the district councillor a question at that level. You're now saying that unless it actually pertains to exactly what they're saying, we can ask the question.
Could I
was about to ask
answer
you a
this,
question
please?
about Wayne Hemingway and where that's going, and you're telling me that I can't. It's not worth me turning up to the meetings, Mr. Chairman. In fact, this is just outright dictatorship.
Thank you very much for that. I'll allow the town
Could I
clerk to
just
speak, please.
clarify the rules of debate in section 1 of standing orders, which does state, if you've read through them, which I'm sure that they have, during the debate of a motion, a councillor, we've done that as did the standing orders. However, what they're saying is that you only get to speak once unless the chairman allows you the opportunity to speak twice on the same motion. No, and we're on our agenda item that is not for discussion. It is to receive a report and note.
So we changed the rules. For
No,
the
we
last
haven't
6
changed
years,
the
we've been
rules.
able to question the district
No.
and the county councillors about district and county things.
It is always at the discretion of the chair, always. And that has not changed.
You're telling me that I can't ask the district councillors about where we are with Wayne Hemingway and his report. Are you telling me I can't ask that?
I'm telling you that it is appropriate, should you wish to raise an issue, to do it in the way that the rules of the game allow you to do it. And I don't believe you've done that. And furthermore, councillor, if you wouldn't mind not interrupting, and furthermore, I have been very tolerant with you. Wait a minute, please. I have allowed you to ask a question as a member of the public, though you clearly aren't. I've asked you to sit down several times. You've ignored that. I've moved on to another subject. You have insisted on going back to the previous subject. It is you, councillor, who is preventing this council conducting its business in a proper way. If you wish to take it up with me privately afterwards, I'm happy to stay. For now, please, I would like to move on, as I already have done, to the next item. Thank you. Can we move on, please, colleagues, to item 133, which is Shambles 1 and 3 update. And I'm asking the town clerk to lead on this to update the council on the latest developments on Shambles 1 and 3 and to make a decision, and we will then make a decision. Over to you, please, Tina.
With your leave, actually, I'm going to pass this over to the finance officer, as he has been dealing with this.
Alan, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, this has been quite a dramatic process. We have made absolutely no progress since the last meeting. If you remember, to summarise for the benefit of councillors, we quotations from three prospective contractors to come and do both units. We have called a special meeting to get dispensation to change, to permit us to do so in terms of the financial regulations. Straight after that meeting, I made contact with the contractor that we appointed, and there has been a deafening silence. Nothing has happened. I've had not one contact back. What really was probably indicative that there was some problems was that soon afterwards I received an email to say that the person who had advised their prices for us no longer worked for that particular company. We are now sitting in a situation where we can't get hold of the appointed contractor, and the kind of working out what we do next comes back onto the table. We've got one or two options. The first one is that we actually just go out to tender and do a formal process, because we can't do it any other way, because the other process we got exceeded the threshold limit of 25,000. Or we look at the second cheapest contractor and we appoint them to do one unit and then address the procurement of the refurbishment of the second unit. I can see no other way, and discussed this with the top, I can see no other way of doing it other than those two options.
Can I ask either you, Alan, or the town clerk, whether you have any preference between, is there any guidance you're offering us on which of the two options you think might be the better?
I personally would believe that if we selected, got one unit going, that would help us and would also provide the cash flow. There actually is a demand for some. I have a prospective tenant who contacts me on numerous occasions. They've been dealing with our agents, ready to get it going. So my personal recommendation to at least have some progress and to at least get the financial benefit of having the property would be that we proceed with one unit.
I'll take Tina first in the circumstances, but I've got Dennis and Roy to follow.
Just to say that we are experience, as are lots of other sectors, issues with getting project work done, particularly any construction work. We know that there's issues now with cement, mortar. Companies are only allowed to purchase 5 bags a day. And there is great difficulty. There's long lead-in lines on wood, metal, you know, and actually by making the contract smaller, it may be more appealing, because we're also, when we're talking to people about why they're not coming forward for contracts, there is a cash flow issue, and that if the job is too large, they can't afford to pay the staff for the duration of the project until the project is finished, and therefore won't take those jobs currently. So from talking to other people, I think that maybe a smaller contract that's over a shorter period of time, that would mean they would have to purchase less materials, may be more appealing at this time to our contractors.
Any further comments, colleagues, on that proposal? I've got so far Dennis and Roy. I've now got Stuart. Sorry, maybe, and a maybe as well. Dennis next, please.
Yeah, basically, I'm going to propose that we do just for one. It's been going on for a considerable amount of time now. We're losing revenue all the time, but more importantly, we're losing an asset to the town. So I was going to make a proposal that we go forward with that idea, but as there's 4 or 5 other people wanting to talk, I'll wait until after they.
Thank you, Dennis. Roy, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I must admit I agree with Councillor Crawford, especially as we realised all of this was happening. We changed financial regs so that we could actually move things about and be a lot more flexible, because we're in a flexible time. And I think perhaps that this would be the most sensible course of action. I would suggest that we draw up tender papers, because it seems that people are not coming in as we thought they would, but immediately hit the second price tender. Go and see them and see if they are prepared, and if they're ready to go, we need to be ready to go. And I would suggest that would be my proposal, is that we are ready to go. But I would also say I'd like to see this council get the tender ready so that we can get it out there, because we are getting very very proficient on this council now of doing damn good tenders. So I'm sure that if we talk to the second price tender and he is ready to go and willing to, then he may well be quite willing to come in on the second one, and we can be flexible and get things moving. And I think that's something that we need to do, because we need to get, when you've got tenants who are screaming to get into buildings, the best thing you can do is get them ready and get them in there, because they're not going to wait there.
Thank you very much. Before I move to Stu, can I just point out that I should have asked you to stand, Dennis, when you were speaking, and having tried to persuade a previous another councillor to sit when I wanted him to, I've failed on both counts. So I'm tempted to ask us all to stand up and do a conga, but in the circumstances we'll move on.
My apologies.
Yeah, well, it's my fault as well. I should have reminded you. We're on to Stuart now, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think the tenure of this meeting is such that we need to expedite this as quick as possible. Councillor Crawford's made more noises that we're missing out on rents by not getting the job done. Councillor Brain's made the right noises again to say that we've tried to jump all through the hoops necessary to get the thing going. It's been going on for amenities for months. Let's approach this second contractor and talk to them, get it working. But if not, we'll have to look to more manageable chunks. We must have some tradesmen that we've used in various guises over the past, whether it be put it into manageable chunks for painting, for making good, and the electrician, so that they're little bits. It's not overwhelming for one big contractor if they can't get themselves organised or can't afford to bankroll it. We should know enough tradesmen around the town to get it. It's not exactly HS2, is it?
Thank you. It's not. Okay.
Do you require me to stand, Mr. Mayor?
Do I require you to speak? I do not require you to speak. I'm inviting you to, should you still wish to.
Thank you. I've got 3 key questions. Is there a preference between Shambles 1 and Shambles 3 in terms of the refurbishment? What were the other quotations that we had, and are they still in date?
Well, I'll just.
The price differential between contractor 1 and contractor 2 is about £3,000. And there was very little difference between contractor 2, one that came second, one that came third. In terms of demand, the amount of work is probably about £2,000 difference between the refurbishment work of Shambles 3 versus Shambles 1. Shambles 1 does look a little bit more difficult from the trade RI. The demand for a unit is actually on unit 3, so I think the approach would be from unit 3 to that is the smaller of the 2 projects, and the price factor of the price differential. But if I add up the person that came second, or the company that came second, and I put their 2 quotes together, they exceed £25,000. And that's our limit of what we've done previously to get our anything out of it, go over £25,000 of the quote.
Thank you. Do you want to add to that? Who's happy with that?
Only again from the untrained eye, I think that Shambles 3 would be a quicker turnaround as well, wouldn't it? So I would, from a officer's point of view, recommend that it's Unit 3. That would be the one that we took.
Did you have questions answered?
I did. May I propose an amendment to Councillor Crawford's proposal? He's probably already going for it. Can we recommend, my recommendation would be, my proposal would be to refurbish Unit 3 with Contractor 2, providing everything's in date.
It looks to me as if Councillor Crawford's happy with that, is that right?
Yes.
I think that's...
Yes, I'm very happy.
Thank you, Dennis. I think we've now got a proposal which sounds coherent and concise. Is there a seconder, please? Is Roy, yours was the first hand. Okay. Any further discussion, or shall we proceed to a vote on that proposal? I think we'll proceed to a vote on that proposal. So those in favour, please. Thank you. That would appear to be unanimous. Excellent, well done. I'm inclined to leave that item now unless there's any other business that needs to be conducted on it. We've found a way forward, hopefully. Okay, thanks very much, everybody. I guess that was the item that was likely to prove the most meaty in one sense at least. So on to 134, community engagement. Any suggestions, please? Yes, Roy.
Can we put on social media that we need somebody to do Shambles 1 and 3?
I trust we'll be leaping to get onto social media as soon as we can afterwards and comment on the nature of a peaceful meeting and maybe getting onto Shambles 1, 2, or 3 rather than 1. Yeah. But one, of course, is to follow as soon as possible. Okay. Thank you very much. That sounds okay, doesn't it? Okay. So, no furthers. On to item 135, committee officers update. Is there anything, please, Tina?
Only that I have been looking at the protect duty document and have been in contact with the police counter-terrorist people, and they have sent me some more reading and a link to some training that staff and councillors would be able to carry out. That's e-training, but I haven't actually had time to read it all yet, to be fair, but I will do an update in personnel as a way to start channeling that through to the councillors.
Thank you. Jane, please.
I believe, Mr Mayor, you may have received your first councillor donation to your mayoral fundraising this year.
It's a pretty tune, isn't it?
A new phone.
Please feel free to make mistakes occasionally, Dennis. It does swell the purse quite nicely. Okay. I think that's probably left that item. We've done with that, have we now? Happy to leave that one?
Yes,
okay.
please.
Right, so we move on to 136, colleagues, which is exclusion of press and public, and to ensure that you're awake or not, or indeed not, as the case may be, I'll have to read it out. To consider resolving that, pursuant to the Public Bodies Admission to Meetings Act 1960, the press and public be excluded for any remaining items of business on the grounds that publicity would be prejudicial to the public interest by reason of the confidential nature of the business to be discussed. So with that, having said that, I turn over, you look at the screen, and we find that there are some committee reports that we have not able to consider. Is that correct?
We have to wait till the recording's off.
So that's what